Well, you can buy a chewing stand to straighten it, or stuff your shorts with socks until the wobbles go away. And the girls will think you're packing a foot long. Sounds like a win-win to me. Hey folks, we're back again with another video, and today we're going to be refreshing a rear wheel. We're going to be removing the cassette, removing the driver, and cleaning everything up, putting the driver back in, putting the cassette back on, and I am going to make sure that this wheel is true before we put it on the bike. So with that being said, let's get into the tools and parts needed for the job. What we're gonna do first is remove the cassette from the driver. To do that, we're gonna need a cassette removal tool, and we're gonna need a chain whip, okay? So this is your standard chain whip. You can get these for cheap, or you can buy these. They cost a little bit more, but they offer a level of convenience where you can just hold it with one hand in order to be able to unscrew the bolt that holds the cassette on the driver. Now, this particular hub is different, where the driver doesn't come out unless you remove the axle from the inside. For that, I'm gonna need a 12mm Allen and either a 20mm wrench, adjustable wrench, Nip-X, anything that will grab on the other side, okay? So then when we're done cleaning everything and putting it back together, we're gonna need hub grease. I'm just gonna use the Shimano internal hub grease over here. Nothing wrong with it, but there's many different options that you could choose from. All right, well, let's start working on this wheel. And we're gonna start off by removing the cassette from the driver itself. Now this happens to be a Shimano CS-M8000 cassette, but this is gonna be a similar process to many cassettes out there, right? We're gonna need a cassette removal tool, and you're gonna need something to hold the chains, the cassette in place, because in order to unscrew it, we need to turn counterclockwise, and if we turn counterclockwise, then the whole cassette will wanna, well, backspin essentially, right? So what we're gonna do is just hold it, and there we go. And now we just take out our cap and we put it on the side. This is a Shimano CS-M8000. It's an 8000 series cassette, 11 speed, and it is all parts and pieces, different layers. So we sort of got to be careful over here. Now, sometimes what happens with these Shimano cassettes, not really the cassettes, but the XG drivers that they sit on, is over time, the cassette will dig into the driver. It digs into the aluminum. And that can make it a little bit challenging pulling out the cassette. So in most cases, you should be able to pull it straight up and out, right? But right now, this one's sticking on me. That means that there is definitely something, there we go. So I was able to pull it out. But in many cases, you might not be able to do that. And you will have to figure out how to pull them out one by one. Now this is where this tool comes in handy, because what happens is these cogs sometimes can get literally jammed on the driver, and I'll show you why. And we're gonna have to pull them out one by one. So to do that, one of these tools come in handy, because you can sort of grab onto each tooth and then sort of wiggle it out until it pops out, right? Now, again, this is a multi-layered cassette. It's multi-piece cassette, I should say. So we want to take it out. If you've never done this before, make sure that you take it out in order and put it in order so you can remember how to put it back. Not that it's hard to put it back, but to give you an idea. So this is the top tooth. And this is why you have to remember. So this is just the top tooth and that's it. So let's put that on the side. And then we have another tooth over here, and this has a built-in spacer, right? But then when we look at the teeth underneath, you will notice that some teeth have spacers. So we need to make sure that we put the spacers back to their right spot, right? So we're gonna take out the tooth with the spacer, keep the spacer on a tooth and put them on the side. And then the last two over here are all bundled, right? And we could put those on the side. Now, the reason that sometimes they get jammed, if you look carefully on this driver over here, and this is an HG driver, it's an older Shimano design, and it's been refreshed by the micro spline, which is gonna be a little bit better. Ultimately, what happens is these are made out of aluminum, those are made out of steel. The steel digs into the aluminum, and sometimes it'll sink to a point where removing it actually becomes challenging. They get jammed in there, right? So that's where that little tool, that hand tool, comes in handy to try and pull them out. You can do them by hand many times, but don't freak out if you think that you're cassette cogs are jammed in there. There is a way to get them out. You just got to finagle it a bit, all right? For many hubs, we would be able to pull out the driver just like this, just pop it out. Technically, for many hubs, you could pull out the driver with the cassette. In this case, for this Easton hub, again, this is a M1 121, I can't do that. The driver's actually held on by that plate and this axle, right? So what I need to do is grab a 12 millimeter Allen, put it on one side, and then on the other side, technically, I should be able to pop this out. Yep, this is just a cap. Put the end cap on the side. There's a bolt or a nut over here, and it has two edges. Technically, it's a 20 millimeter, but you could use an adjustable wrench or a Nipex, anything, right? Now, to loosen this, we need to turn the axle righty. This is a righty loosey. It's backwards than your typical, your typical threading, okay? So what I'm gonna do is crack it. Oops, I think I just cracked it actually, no way. Hey, where is it? There we go. There we go, okay? So I should be able to do the rest by hand. Oh, geez, man, I was already out. I was just spinning, okay? That's funny. Now make sure you don't touch your hands on the actual brake rotor. And now we are going, let me turn it upside down, or let me turn it sideways. We're gonna pull out our driver. Next, what I'm gonna do is just clean the inside a bit. Get some of that heavy grease out of there. Now what we're gonna do is feel our bearings. This bearing feels perfect. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Let's feel the rear bearing. Ooh, it's got a lot of gunk on it. Holy cow. Tell me the bearing's okay. Tell me that's not grease from the bearing. No, it's not. Good. Because if it was. Yep, and that bearing feels great. Cool, our bearings are good. We don't have to swap them out. I'm gonna put out another video where I had to swap out bearings on a i9 hub. I highly recommend you watch that video if you have an i9, because chances are if you have an i9 hub, Hydra, you might have bad bearings in there and a bad axle because of it, which I'll show you in that other video. So next up is a simple cleaning. We're not gonna spray alcohol on the bearing. What we're gonna do is spray alcohol on a paper towel and then rub, clean all the teeth out best you can. Okay. Then immediately go up there with a clean one and get all the alcohol out. If you look at the seal over here, there is a seat. It is very important to make sure that your seats are clean, because what happens is when we put the driver on there, if there is dirt, well, it's going to create a space for moisture to go in, and that will absolutely destroy your bearing. So be careful, don't apply too much pressure. Just grab a pick, go in there and clean that out. So I'm going to take you a couple of seconds, and you will be sure that you will have a really good connection between your driver and your hub. And we're going to do the same to the driver. With the wheel clean, now we're going to turn our attention to the driver. So let's clean all the heavy grease off of it. And spin it in your hands. If you feel any kind of grinding or vibration, that means the bearings are going bad in the driver, and I feel nothing. It feels great. So this driver's in great condition. No issues over there. What we're going to do is just give it a quick clean. Make sure that the seat at the base is clean. Now, if you want to do a deep clean, right, we could take out the pawls. Technically, there is a ring holding these pawls, just like that, right? And if we lift the ring, well, all right, lift it all the way around. And this is optional. You technically don't have to do this, but this will allow us now to lift the pawls. Now, remember with the pawls, now, well, they fit in only one way, right? You got a large lobe and a small lobe. So let's just take them out. And now we could clean those as well. Clean everything. To make your life easier, if you happen to have brake fluid, It'll definitely make the job quicker. Stuff rules. Just don't get brake fluid inside the driver here. Make it all spill out this way. Okay. Let that sit there. Put some brake fluid on the pawls and the spring. Now let's clean those. And we are done. So everything's clean, including the end caps, and now it's time to put everything back together, okay? So what we're gonna do first is grab some grease, and we're gonna put it in the seats for the pawls. Okay. Now, if you notice on the driver, there is going to be a stopper right there, right? So that's where the spring, well, basically stops. So we have two options to do this. The easier one is going to most likely be, let's put the pawl in, or pawls in. Again, there's a large side lobe and a small side lobe. Let's put them in their spots just like that, and this one over here. Now what we are going to do is find that notch. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Hey, where's it? Is that it? There it is. Right? So let's grab our opening. Let's bring it in between here. And now what we're going to do is put one side at the notch. Make sure it's in there. Don't drop your pawl just like I did. Again, make sure it's in the right position. There's only one way to put it in, really. Then we're going to slip the spring all the way around. Nearly had it. Unfortunately, that closed on me. So now I'm going to need to pull this side out. Position your pawl correctly and slip it in. Close your spring, and we are done. Okay. Now what we are going to do is take a little bit of hub grease, put on the pawls on the outside, rub it all the way around, activate the pawls, make sure they're fully coated on the inside. And now we're ready to put it back in the wheel. So again, both sides of the hub are fully clean, right? Now I am going to take a little bit of grease. Well, I'm going to take some grease. I'm going to put it on the inside, rub it around. This, if you do this, it'll make your hub quieter. I'm a bigger fan of quiet hubs than super loud hubs. Don't get it on the seal on the outside. We'll clean that off, right? So put it on the inside just like that. Now, get any grease off the seal on the outside here. Okay, we want a really good tight seal. So now we're going to take our driver, we're going to put it in and turn counterclockwise. And there you go. Ooh, look how quiet that is. That's nice. That sounds good. Next, we grab the cap for the non-drive side. We're going to insert it. And then when we go to screw it, it's backwards. This is lefty-tighty. Do it by hand first to make sure you get the threads. There we go. Remember, lefty-tighty. Go down by hand as much as you can. Then when it's all the way at the end, we're going to grab our torque wrench. And again, lefty-tighty, right? Oops, I have it backwards. We're going to torque it down. Now, you don't have to use a torque wrench if you want, but it's 10 Newton meters. I'm picky. I like sticking to specs. And there we go, 10 Newton meters. Before we put the cogs back on, if we look at this HG driver, right, there's a whole bunch of big splines, but then we have this small spline or a skinny spline. keep the skinny spline on top whenever you can in order for you to have better guidance to slip in the guides, because that's technically a key for us to follow. So we start with the largest 3 cogs, and if we look at the inside over here, we're going to find a small spline, right? So now that we know what's on top, we're just going to slip it in. And then we're going to do the same thing to the next 3 cogs. Find the small spline, slip it in, push it down. Sometimes it'll get stuck because, again, you have those grooves that stick out, right? So now, one by one, we're going to put the other cogs in, and there is an order for this one, right? So if we look at it, we see 11 speed, 19. So this is our 19 hole. Again, find a small cog, small spline. And this one is going to need a spacer, right? The spacer doesn't have a small spline. You can put it in any which way you want, I believe. I could be wrong. There's no small spline on spacers, is there? Oh yeah, maybe there is right there. No, there isn't. There shouldn't be. Okay, and then the next one is going to be our 17. So there's the small, put it in. This one's also going to have a spacer. So the 19th spacer, 17th spacer. And then the remaining 3, there are no spacers. Next is the 15. Where's the small? There's the small. Boom. Put it in. Then we have the 11. Or the 13, sorry. Where's the small? It's right in front of me. Where's it? Is that it? Yep, that's it. Put that in. And then we have the last one. And the last one should fit in any way, I believe. No, there's a small spline right there. I'm wrong. Yeah, geez, what was I thinking? Small spline right there. Now we grab the end cap, put it in by hand first. Always by hand first. Make sure you do not strip this thing. Clockwise, righty-tighty. And unlike when you remove it, we don't need a chain tool to install it. We're going to take our cassette tool. Okay. And then we're going to grab our torque wrench, 40 Newton meters. And you want to make sure you get close to 40 on this, because this guy can't come loose. There we go, 42. A little bit hot, but look at that. Nice and quiet, everything's spinning great. Now let's not forget on the other side, our end cap. Take it and stuff it in there. Now let's put them on the truing stand. So we put the wheel in the truing stand. I centered it. I checked it for centering. Basically, that means we want to make sure that the axle is in the center, or at least the middle of the wheel is in the center of the axle, right? So that's all good from what I was able to see. Now we are going to take it and, okay. We got a pretty big warp going on, to say the least, and I'm just barely rubbing it right now. So definitely need to fix that one up, right? So what we're going to do is slowly take it around, listen to that one. So the warp is on this side. In other words, the wheel is doing this, coming from the center to the right and back to center again, right? So that means I got to pull the left spokes a little bit outwards within that area. So we start on this spoke here, and it ends pretty much on this spoke here. So I got to move these 2 spokes over. Now this we do with very small turns, little 1/8 and 1/4 turns. I'm going to do with 1/8 first. Okay, we got a little bit more. Yep, same 2 spokes, just a touch more. That one and this one. Again, patience is a virtue when it comes to truing wheels. Okay, we took care of that one, but there was one more little one right here. Right on this spoke here. Turn this one in. Okay, we cleared it so far. Let's go to tighter tolerances. I still see a good warp. I mean, there's a good warp in here, guys, to say the least, but I like doing things slowly. Okay, same spots. So we are here. So from here to here, so this spoke, and this spoke. So again, little turns, and then there's a skip and it starts a couple of spokes down again. So little 1/8 of a turns. This one here, just to pull the wheel over a little bit. That took care of that part. Now we have this part, which is just a small part again. In fact, the same part that we were before. So that is here to, yep, same 3 spokes. So grab this spoke here, another little 1/8 of a turn, another little 1/8 of a turn, another little 1/8 of a turn. I'll probably need to do more than that. Yep, cleaned it up pretty good. Whoop, got a little one. There we go, and I actually could see with my eye. Right here. A little bit more. Okay, that's tighter tolerances. Let's make sure that yep, it's definitely rubbing on the right side still. Although I am getting tighter, we are getting more centered for sure. So we are starting from this spoke here. So that's pretty much half the wheel. Yep. So I'm going to take a little bit of 1/8 of a turn, if not less, just like that, on half the wheel. Much better. Oops, sorry about that. I got tight quarters here. Actually, I had a hard time finding a good spot for the camera. I don't even know if that's a good spot. Okay, this guy here. Little turn, and very little turn. That clean that up. Now we clean. Bit of a turn here, bit of a turn there. And the last part of the half wheel over here. Yep, these 2 here. Nope, just this one here, really. This one could use a bit of a turn. And this one could probably use just a little bit of a turn to take care of that. Now let's deal with this one here, this one here, and this one here just a little bit. Okay, we're definitely getting tighter. Let me go a little bit tighter. Okay, now we're coming out a little bit to this side, so I got to fix that. I got to find the balance now. And we're not doing full true right now. We're just from here to where my hand is. So let's go here just a touch. Here a touch more. Here a touch more. Here a touch more. Here just a touch. Okay, definitely less. 1, 2, 3, 3 spokes. I'll start off with a 4th one here, actually, just a little bit of a touch. And the other 3 a little bit of a touch more. Okay. Let's tighten them up, see where we're at. Loosen them up a bit. Okay. This guy right here, these two right there. One and two. Ooh, just one little bit left. Yep. Let's tighten this guy just a touch more. Ooh, it's going to be stubborn, that one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen this one just a touch. And I'm going to loosen it a touch more because it's falling on this spoke here where it's rubbing. So that's on this side. So it's rubbing on this. It's rubbing on the left side. It's a left side spoke that it's rubbing on. Once it hits the right side spokes, it doesn't rub. So I'm just going to loosen this guy just a touch. The only problem is these are straight pull spokes. And straight pull spokes are a little bit challenging when they're older because the whole spoke, I mean, if it's seized in the nipple, the whole spoke could turn, right? Which is a bit of a pain in the butt. Okay, that's good enough for now. Let's try this side again. Let's open it up, close it up a bit. Just a little bit. So this guy, these two. Just a touch. Just a touch more. There we go. That is pretty clean. Let me tighten them a bit. Now these are little micro adjustments. Plain and simple, folks, when it comes to truing mountain bike wheels, nowhere near as important getting it within that last 15%, in my opinion, as it would be, let's say, road bikes. Only because you're never gonna go as fast as you would on a road bike, and ultimately, you have a lot more tire cushion, right? So, can I tidy this up a bit? Yes, I can, just a little bit. Is it worth the extra effort? Honestly, it's not. I'm gonna go ahead and tidy it up a bit. I will be back. So I've taken it as far as I could go. I can't go any tighter because this entire wheel is covered with stickers. So there's like small areas and long areas for the sticker on both sides, right? So what you're hearing right now is, well, me rubbing against the stickers, and those empty spots like that stuttering is when it's not touching a stickers, those stickers are raised, right? So I can't go any tighter, and the reality is this, folks, I don't need to go any tighter. This is way more than good enough for a mountain bike wheel. Now, if I was to truly try and true this thing, I would also take off the tire and see if it's perfectly oval. But you could sort of eyeball that, right, with the tool in place and looking at it, and it looks real good. I mean, in all reality, my eye can't see it, even though I'm sure the tool would pick it up. But again, this is a mountain bike wheel. We have a lot of suspension just in the tire alone, right? So we don't have to be super, super precise when it comes to that. This here is way more than enough. Now, more importantly is to make sure that the spokes are as close as possible to being tensioned to each other. In other words, they have a very similar value. And the way we would do that is with a tension tool, okay, or tensionometer, or tensiometer, whatever they call it. So basically what I would do is find a starting point, which a valve is a good spot, right? And then I would take the tool, put it on there, and I would take a measurement. So that, let's say, is around a 16 mark, right? This one over here, 16. This one over here, right there, again, it's close to 17. This one over here, again, close to 17. This one's on the low side. So this one is on the low side. Well, actually, let me do that again. Let's do that again right there. Yep, so this one's closer to 15. So that's on the low side. So that again, 16. Again, close to 17. That one there, well, actually, again, this one here's on, let's do that again. Let's try and get an average. So 16. Again, between 16 and 17. Again, well, let me get it good. So this one is, again, close to 17, right? And I would keep on going. Hey, where's the, I'm nearly done. So again, close to 17. So for the most part, outside of one that was close to 15, the other ones are between 16 and 17. Oh, I'm already done. So the other ones are between 16 and 17. So technically, I mean, if I was to take this a little bit more, make this a little bit more true, I might be able to solve that one spoke. But in all reality, there's always going to be at least that one spoke per side that is going to be off, right? It's either going to be off on the higher side or it's going to be off on the lower side. I think I've never been able to get, like, you know, within that 10% evenness on all spokes on either side of a wheel, right? So the other side I would do the same, but the values would be different, right? So for instance, yeah, if I go to this one over here, could you guys even see that? Probably not. So these are much different. So these are in the 20s on the drive side, right? So for instance, I'm 24, right? 24. I can't show you on this side, can I? Oh, maybe I can. So you see what I mean? So that's like 23, 24 in there. So again, the whole idea is to go around it now, spoke by spoke, and make sure that we're not way off. Like, you don't want 2-3 spokes to be significantly off than the average, right? And what those numbers mean from a Park Tools perspective is that they give us a chart over here. Okay, and basically we would need to find out, we would need to know the diameter and the type of spoke, right? So they give us tools. So for instance, here it is. Here's a tool that helps me check out the diameter of the spoke. So 1.6 millimeter, nope, 1.7 millimeter. Yep, that's it. So so these are 1.7 millimeter steel spokes. And the way we would know these are steel spokes, take a magnet to it. If it sticks, it's steel. If it doesn't, it's aluminum, right? And so the ones we just did, we fell between 16 and 17. So we would look up, where am I? I'm upside down. So 1.7 millimeter rounded steel spokes. Can we see that? Yeah. At 16, 17, we're at 73 to 81 kiloforce, basically, is how they measure it, which 1 kiloforce equals 10 Newton meters, right? So, or 10 newtons. So again, to know these numbers, you would need to know what the manufacturer recommends, but ultimately you're able to use the tensionometer to at least find the average and make sure that most of this, by far, like let's say 90% of the spokes are very, very close to each other, right? Park Tools actually has a software that will draw out the actual tensioning of the spoke to see, you know, how accurate it is. But again, you do not need to be 100% accurate on a mountain bike, right? I mean, to me, 85% accurate is more than good enough, right? Higher is even better. You don't really want to be less than 85% accurate, in my opinion, right? And that's pretty much it for the wheel since I'm here. Now, also one thing to consider before I forget, right now, if I look at the wheel wobbles, but that's not the frame, that's not the rim. That's the actual wheel itself. Rubber tires, in case somebody's like, wait, my tire looks like it's wobbling. Yes, it could be the tire. The tire could have a deformation in it, right? So in other words, even though your rim is perfectly straight, your tire might come out on one side, right? Because of a deformation. So just remember that. So don't think that just because your tire looks like, or your wheel looks like when it's riding, it's warped. It could just be the tire that has a warp in it, not the rim, all right? So next, since I'm here, I might as well do the brake just in case it gives me a headache later, and we're done with this wheel. So as for truing a rotor, it's basically the same thing, except, well, we're just using a different tool, right? So we're using this tool to press up against the rotor, and then we're turning it, and we're listening for little clicks. So I have a warp right there. Not big, still a warp nonetheless, right there. So what I would do now is try and find the middle of that warp. Which is between here and here. And I would take this rotor adjuster tool, put it in, and just give it a slight bend. This is very gentle bends, folks. You do not have to do this hard at all. Very little pressure. That takes care of that. Let's go closer. See, that's really good. As far as I'm concerned, I could end it right there, but since we're here, why not try and take care of this spot right here? Just a touch, folks. You do not need to go crazy with this tool, right? It's literally very slight touches. Got one little one right here. Yep. I took care of that. Let's go a little bit closer. That's pretty good. Now it's rubbing all the way around. So we're good. I don't need to go any tighter than that, right? So my rotor's good. Now I'm going to take the wheel off, make sure it's centered one more time, and we should be good. To make sure the wheel is centered, I'm going to take the centering gauge. Basically, I'm going to put both sides on the rims and make sure it's sitting evenly on the rim, right? And then I'm going to make sure that the lowest part of this middle, well, stem over here, whatever you want to call it, touches the axle. Let me see if we get a better view over here. Okay, that is touching. I do not get any kind of bowing or any kind of wobbling. Now let's make sure that it does the same on the other side. Yep, there is no space. What we're looking for now is a space, and there is no space. So I am nicely centered on this rim. And there you have it, folks. We just finished servicing an entire rear wheel. We took out the cassette, we took out the driver, we cleaned the inside, we checked our bearings, everything was fine over there. We put everything back in, or cleaned it, greased it, put it all back in. We trued the wheel, you know, I mean, not a full true job, but ultimately more than acceptable, more than good enough, way more than good enough for a mountain bike. Put it back on there, verify that everything is centered, and we are good to go to put it back on the bike. The one thing I would recommend is, since you're here, take alcohol and clean the rotor just in case you touched it, right? And there's any grease on it. You do not want any grease from rotors going onto your pads. Major pain in the butt. You don't want to deal with that. Take the time now and clean your rotor. Outside of that, there's not all that much left. Outside of, again, putting it on your bike and going for a spin, all right? So, folks, if you like this video, please click that like button, click that subscribe button to see more videos, click that bell button, bing, in order to get notified when new videos get released, and more videos like this are coming. If you want to check out a couple of videos right now, you can check these two out. They might be of interest, and until the next time, I hope all is well with all of you, and we will be talking to you soon. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.